I have come live because I've just finished a session with one of my clients who has the finest low density hair, and I started her off with knotted locks, and she chose knotted locks because she knew Sisterlocks would just be the worst for her, because she'd already was born with fine hair. She already had thin strands, low density hair, and wigs, all the historical damage. And this was her last hairstyle. So she chose knotted locks. And you guys know that knotted locks is new. I think it's a total of, it's coming up to 6 years that I've been practicing knotted locks on my hair and on clients' hair, and now teaching it. I've been teaching it now for about 4 years. But anyway, this post is for if you have fine strands, fine low density hair, this post is for you. If you used to have a full head of locks when you started your Sisterlocks or micro-locks or braid locks or any small size locks, and it's been interlocked, and then now you find that your strand texture has changed because it's become much more finer, much more thinner, more low density, this share is for you. This live share is for you. And I had to come live because the client literally just left, and there's so much information I got from that client. When I do my one-to-one consultation, I'm able to speak to people individually about their hair story and dive into their history and their vision for their hair and all of that. And the combination of speaking to people online and teaching, and then doing this client head, I just felt this urge to just come online and speak to you who has the finest of hair, the thin hair, and when you touch your hair, you're worried that it's going to break. Recently, I taught somebody whose hair was so thin as a result of Sisterlocks. She had a full head of hair. And when I say Sisterlocks, I mean the pulling, the tugging, the interlocking. So sometimes if you're listening to this and you're not Sisterlocks, replace the Sisterlocks with just the interlocking motion of pulling, tugging, and the disconnect the practicing consultant has on your hair, the disconnect they have with regards to the texture or the fiber that they're touching, right? Which is your hair. You need to begin to wake up and connect with your hair. I literally mean that, wake up. This person, one of the people who I taught, she said a trichologist told her she needed to because I say leave your hair alone, just leave it. She said the trichologist told her that she needed to go and get her Sisterlocks retightened. But this lady's hair, the edges were gone, they were meeting, there was just hair here, and then obviously the back. It was so damaged that the one thing her hair needed was not to be interlocked again. I could tear up. The one thing she needed was for that head not to be interlocked, because it was so delicate, so fine. And when I see these delicate, fine strands, I always ask, where did your hair start off a full head of locks when you first Sisterlocked your head? And I keep saying Sisterlock because it's always Sisterlocks. And they said yes, and they sent me pictures. They had a full head of locks. But now the hair is so fine, so thin. It's just a different head, and they've got bald patches. One lock is there, one lock is there, one lock is there. It's just traumatic watching this, seeing this happen. And so here is a client in the chair today who was born with fine, low density hair. And I've said to her, you don't need to do your hair. You do your hair when you feel, because knotted locks is very much about feeling. It's about being it's feeling based. I feel like I do. I don't feel like I don't do. And therefore I don't pre-book clients. It's when you have a feeling you want to get your hair done. When I'm with a client, I talk them through the experience, what I'm experiencing, the information I'm getting. So by the time they leave my chair, they know what they need to feel to know that they need to sit in my chair when they need to sit in my chair. And nobody really needs to sit in my chair. They just don't want their hair. They want to take care of the growth. They just don't, they now know they can't deal with the tangling, right? Which, when I do a consultation, I explain like what tangling means, right? But to me, tangling is normal, right? There's levels of tangling, and that you know that, okay, now I need to sit in Melissa's chair. So those are for those people who sit in the chair. And then there are those who I teach. And because I'm doing a one-to-one and I'm understanding you're describing your texture to me and back and forth, we then talk about the fact that when do you know? And honestly, when you know you're ready for that next knot is a feeling, it's feeling based. So here is a client who is used to sitting in my chair, and I do her hair every 3 months. Sometimes we push it to 4 months. And she has just had, I say she's just had her hair knotted, right? But when we counted it, it's 6 weeks ago. That for me is just like, I just saw you, because for me, it should be another 6 weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. The reason why she came to sit in my chair and for me to redo her hair is because she was worried about the fineness. Basically, she said they'll fall off. She's worried about them, they'll fall off. When your head feels vulnerable, the first thing you think about, fine strands, small, delicate, your strands are thinning. The first thing you think is, let me try and save my locks. And the first thing you think about is, let me sit in the chair. It's the wrong thought. It's the wrong thought. Because that panic, sitting in the chair, thank God, it's not Interlocks and it's Melissa. So I redid her hair, but I didn't do all of her hair. I just chose ones to do. But I went through her hair and I was explaining certain things because I know she needed reassurance. So I was explaining certain things. Now, when Melissa knots, it's creativity. It's me and I'm one with the source and I'm creating and I know what I want and I know the results I want. But it is my canvas and I love African hair. So, and I like chunky, I like thickening up locks. So the knots, the way I work with the knots, help me thicken up that lock, right? And so when a client has growth, they think, oh my God, my hair's delicate, it's gonna fall. But actually it's the real true density underneath that grows from their scalp. And then when I knot it, there's a thickness to it. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean. So here's my growth. And my growth is thin, but then my knots create these results from that thinness, right? And so she's thinking her hair is going to drop off. But actually what I explained to her is your hair's not going to drop off. It's fine. It just needs to grow. And you just need to be okay with the fineness of it. And then it just got me thinking about you whose hair is fine. And then you are told you need to get your hair done more often. Every 4 weeks, I'm hearing, every 5 weeks, every 6 weeks, that your hair doesn't need to be done that often. Nobody's hair needs to be done that often. Even if you have thick hair, that's fine. You have thick hair, so that's fine. But this is for those who have fine hair. You don't need to get your hair done that often. And then I was explaining to her, I'm thinking of those people, and it hurts my head just thinking about it, who have to get their hair threaded through, pulled. You're splitting this fine collection of strands, and then you're passing your lock that's been thickened up now because it's established, and you're passing it through the base of that growth. And you are doing it, most times they're doing it dry. I mean, that client who sat in my chair today, if she was being interlocked, it would have been a brutal experience for her, because threading it through with the kindness of hands, my hands with the tool, just threading it through, interlocking would have caused so much damage to that woman's hair. And she would have thought she was doing something wrong, because most times you guys think you're doing something wrong when you're not. You guys who have fine hair and your hair's going, first you get the pain, the itchiness, the flaking, all of that is signs, headaches. It's telling you, I'm allergic to this process. It was fine when we started, I could take it, I was strong enough, but now I'm broken, I'm getting weaker. You have to stop. It is not the answer. This is not Melissa trying to sell you knotted locks. This is me just trying to say it is better. That client, it would be better for her to have an afro and pat it down. Just wet her hair and pat it down for her to do Sisterlocks. Thank God she was wise enough. She looked at her head and she said, I knew you would be right because of the density of it. And she's totally right. If this client had headed into Sisterlocks with her fine hair, because you look at her and you think she was born with this low density. You'd look at her and you'd assume she created that. That's as a result. Of course, there's slight historic hair loss, but fundamentally, we both agree she was born with this low density and fine hair. And her hair is so baby-like that it never really got that firmness that our hair normally moves into, right? Hers is very light. And just the thought of somebody having that hair, that's why I came on. So it's for that one person who's thinking, I feel like I need to rest my head, but they're unsure. This post is really, really, really for you. You're right. The information you have right now about your head is the most correct. It's not your consultant who is right. You're right. Stop getting your hair interlocked. Even if you just keep your hair separated, don't ever contact me. You're just afraid of the whole process of knotting. That's fine. Just allow your hair to show you what it can do. Like there's beauty in your African hair and the locks. Just by itself, I've discovered so much information about me and my hair and my texture just from being all right with my African hair growth and the locks. And you too, you can. But what would be terrible is if you lost your hair for somebody that does not care about your hair, somebody that's not seeing the signs that you're going to go bald. You're going to go bald. Do you understand? You're going to go bald. If you carry on interlocking, interweaving your hair like that, you're going to go bald. But if you stop now, you'll have afro and you'll have your locks, and just learn to separate it. What I say to people, just have the consultation. If you do not even want to do the knotting, just have a consultation and I will show you, because then you'd have growth and I will talk to you about the methodology personal to you for you to just keep your locks separated. Because I live with growth because I teach all the time. I don't want us to go bald as a result of this practice. I'm not a fan of this practice. I absolutely appreciate what it gave me initially, but it just wasn't mature enough and intelligent enough to deal with the diversity and the dynamism of African texture hair. It just doesn't have the intelligence, because that rush to interlock your hair, to close it and to change the texture by tugging at it is just killing your hair. And it's allowing you to disconnect from the source. This is our antenna. This gives us information. So the message for you who has fine hair, low density fine hair, don't go. Stop. Don't go and get your hair done. Melissa's telling you, don't do it. When you don't do it, calm yourself down, center yourself, and get the message. What is the message telling you? Because you're so clever, you're so wise, you already know what you need to do about your hair. You're just quieting it down because you're allowing somebody else to do it. But they're thinning out your hair. If your hair was thriving, this is fine, but they're thinning out your hair. So just don't go, center yourself, and then know what to do next. Also, I want to say, disclaimer, like, I don't know everybody, I don't know your hair and all of that. So please do not take what I say as Bible and verse. Make up your own mind, have an independent thought, right, about your hair. So since I started knotting, have discovered so many things that has moved my knowledge further and further and further, right? And how I connect with people, it's individual. I just like the individuality, because it's like I get all this information, right? And then I speak to you and then I give you the relevant information. So you're watching the holistically all of Melissa from when she started Sisterlocks to date, right? Now she's doing this live post. But throughout this process, I've had downloads, I've had information. And I feel like whenever I have a one-to-one with the individual, when I'm teaching, when I'm consulting, when I'm in a client's chair, all this information that I have, I can select which one I give to you depending on your strand type and your hair. And there's not one person that's the same strand type. Everybody has different scenarios, different situations, different density. Like there's so much difference between one African texture to another. And especially because there's different coil patterns on our heads, different curl patterns. I'm able to give you the relevant information that works for you at that moment. That's why I like the one-to-one. That's why I'm a fan of one-to-one, because I can give you personal to you. I see you. I am you. I hear you. And this is what you need to do to look after your hair. So generically to the fine locks strand wearer, don't go to your retightening. Don't go to that retightening. Listen to the word. It's a retight. It's a tight. It's pulling your hair. It's taking. And one day you go bald. I don't want you to go bald. I don't want you, even if we never meet, just hear this I don't want you to go bald. Avoidable baldness. This is not hereditary balding. This is not as a result of, oh, that medication or estrogen level. I'm going through all of the changes, including I was told that I had low iron, but it didn't affect my hair. And it shouldn't, like that. If your hair's going to be affected, let it be affected naturally, but don't prematurely go into balding as a result of somebody absent-mindedly going into your head, telling you you've tender-headed. Your tender-headed means you're intelligent, and your head is telling you, you should not be going to that person's chair. You should not allow that hand to go into your hair. The fact that somebody decides you're tender-headed, that means your head is intelligent, and it's saying, avoid that person doing your hair. Avoid them, right? So be all right with being tender-headed. Be all right with feeling vulnerable. Be all right with all of that. Be all right with your, even if your fear of, my fear of if I don't go, what's going to happen? Find out what's going to happen. But I'm telling you, trust me, I'm telling you, I've done this for 13 years. I was #1 fan of Sisterlocks. First of all, go and look at Dr. Conwell's hair. She started a media hub thing. Go and look at Dr. Conwell's hair. If you're doubting what I'm saying, look at the growth I live with. Go and see if there's a grid line on Dr. Conwell's head. The source, the initial person who started this movement, to go and see. She too understands that you don't need to do your hair as often, and you don't need to do it so tight. It's just not trickle down. So I'm telling you, from my knowledge, 13 years of doing this, you don't have to do your hair as often as they're telling you. Wake up, you make an independent decision. I've been going on for 16 minutes now. That's a bit long. I was just going to do a 5 minutes, so I think I'm going to go. And then, like I'm not technologically, so I can see there's like down there, but I don't know, like I can't read and then like, I can't talk and then read. So I'm just going to go. Thank you for watching this post. Don't go to your re-tight. Look after your hair. Keep it separated. Wet it, oil it, and become a rebel. Because when you become a rebel, you find out information about your hair that is just life enhancing. Thank you for watching this. Take care of yourself. Bye. Bye, loves. Bye.